What's so bad about pink? Why is pink so toxic for boys and girls? In fact, why are hearts and pink and things that are sparkly and long eyelashes and little baby animals and love and nurturing, why are all these things considered girly? And why is girly bad? I'm going to propose something crazy. I'm going to propose that we give kids, that we empower kids to say that they want to play with whatever they want to play with. That we tell them that it's okay to open the gender box, in fact, break the box altogether. I'm going to propose that we strike the words, "this is for girls and this is for boys," from our everyday use, and that if we do this, we're giving kids the tools with which to shape the future. I am an unapologetic feminist. I will never forget the day on December 7th, 1989, that I went into my parents' kitchen and saw the Toronto Star open. And there were pictures of 14 women there. And my mom told me that all these women had been shot and killed simply because they were women. That is why I am a feminist. Malala and the young girls and women like her and her friends and family who are fighting for access and liberties for girls and women internationally is why I have no excuse not to be. So as a feminist, I expected that I would grow to raise brave, courageous, creative, imaginative daughters. So imagine my surprise when I became the mother of 2 boys. My boys grew to be very different from each other, as they do. One son gravitated towards things that are typically coded masculine: diggers, construction, trains. I read more books on construction than you could ever know. Our other son gravitated sometimes toward things that are conventionally considered feminine: domestic play, the color pink, dolls, dollhouse, but also sports and horsing around and pirates and Star Wars and fighting. In other words, they're complex and they're human. It's become very common to reject pink. Along with princesses, pink has become a symptom of all things to do with a suffocating range from toy companies and clothes companies for girls. There is a war against the princess machine. Friends and colleagues with daughters swear off pink because, as though if you're agreeing for your daughter to like pink, you're signing her up for a lifetime of limited storylines revolving around fashion and romance. And if you agree that your boy likes pink, then you're signing him up for a lifetime of weakness and bullying. Even Goldie Blocks. Who's seen Goldie Blocks? Right. A company that is designing engineering toys for girls has come under fire for using a pink branding aesthetic. And I understand this. But I also wonder how far the pendulum has swung. For a while, pink was the favorite color in my house. My son had a pink bike, pink toothbrush, pink sunglasses, a pink hat, and always chose the pink vitamin, the pink Flintstone vitamin first. And who wouldn't like it? I couldn't blame him for loving pink. It's bright, it's happy, it's a warm color. Why would he choose beige or navy blue or black or any of the standard issue boy colors? But boys aren't supposed to like pink. And it's not just colors. Colors are but part of the aspects of girl toy culture that are taboo for boys. We've all been in toy stores. When I was a child, there was a toy aisle. But now there's a girl aisle and a boy aisle. The girl aisle looks like it was dipped in pink. It is almost entirely pink. It is covered in hearts and flowers and sparkles and baby animals and dolls and things to do with fashion and the home. It is very limited in its range. The boy aisle has to do with diggers and construction and trains, but it also has things like action figures who defy physics in their musculature in the same way that Barbie defies physics in hers. There are no hearts. There are no dolls. I know this because a friend of ours wanted to buy a doll for my son when he was much younger, and she had trouble finding a doll that wasn't branded as a little mommy. So I thought I'd test that out. This is a Google image search that I did on the words little mommy doll. Now you'd think that I had done a search on little Caucasian mommy doll, but that is another talk altogether. If you go to the Mattel Little Mommy site, It says, every little girl wants to pretend she's a mommy, and that this is nurturing play come to life. And I thought, I have little boys who sometimes like to pretend they're little daddies. Isn't that nurturing play to come to life? And then I thought, well, it's been years. Surely this has changed. And so I did a Google search for little daddy doll. And this is the Google image search result for little daddy doll. Now, most of these dolls are made in the image of a character from the game BioShock and are hardly cuddly at all. Some of these dolls are made in the image of real daddies that have gone off to war. They're created so children at home have something to cuddle when their father is gone. But I could find no toy company that is marketing a toy for little boys to be little daddies. What are we afraid of? Are we afraid that our sons will grow to be sensitive, expressive, loving, nurturing, that they will want to emulate their own fathers? Our insistence that anything associated with love or emotion or nurturing is unmasculine is hurting our boys. Men make up 80 to 90% of violent offenders in North America. 75% of victims of homicide in Canada are male, and a quarter of those are gang-related. We need to give our boys tools with which they can express themselves in terms of love and affection and vulnerability and family and home. If our boys' toys can't even show their hearts, how can we ever expect them to? It's not just color, it's words too. Sometimes we think words don't matter. Sometimes it's just an expression. And absolutely that's true. Sometimes the words that we use are just throwaway terms that we use in a moment. But sometimes that's not the case. I've become interested in the way that the words that we use, even subtly, reinforce gender stereotypes. I was wondering how much of the world around us we see in terms of gender. Everything from everyday objects to the way that we describe people and things. I created this website wherein the user gets to choose from a random list of words, and they get to choose whether they think this word, term, occupation, description is masculine, feminine, neither, or both. After choosing that, the user will see what the percentage of other users have chosen the same. And we do see the world through gendered lens. And the words I have on here range from everything from swaddling to swashbuckling to purses to plumbers. The boxes we have made for boys are small, unflexible, and mainly blue. The boxes we have made for little girls are small, unflexible, and mainly pink. I have a friend who cringed when her boy asked for an umbrella for Christmas. Apparently, it's unmasculine to be dry in the rain, even if you're a child. This is a site that I set up that tracks the use of the terms like a girl and like a man on Twitter. I think it's very interesting that many of these things are used as throwaway expressions. But if we can tell someone that they're being like a girl and that's an insult, but to tell a woman that she's like one of the boys is a compliment, then maybe we need to reassess the terms that we're using. Studies show that children's toys and clothes are more defined in terms of gender than ever before. Toy aisles show us that. We see that every day. Many of us see that in our lives, and that is why we do things like say, I don't want any princess stuff in my house. Researchers in this field, including academic, blogger, and author Dr. Joe Paletti, will tell us that pink was not always considered feminine. In fact, pink used to be considered masculine, and baby boys used to wear dresses. Dr. Becky Francis will tell us that this gender binary is increasing as we go on, and that the idea that this is for girls and that is for boys is becoming ever more present in our culture. And that it's reinforcing a gender binary. My son became aware around the age of 3 that there were certain things that were off limits for him as a boy. I'll never forget being at a hockey practice with him, and we had brought a bag of books for him to read. And he pulled out The Little Mermaid, and he wanted me to read that to him, but he asked me if I could read it to him quietly. And I knew in that moment that he'd become very aware that this was no longer something that was okay for boys to like. Sometimes the solution seems to be to take a toy that was designed for girls and make it accessible for boys, or take a toy that was designed for boys and make it accessible for girls. Sometimes that's the solution. Take a toy that was designed for boys and dip it in pink and cover it in sparkles and put flowers on it and put it in a fashion, a romance setting, and you have a toy for girls. Take a toy that was designed for girls and strip it of anything that has to do with love or hearts or being kind or nurturing and paint it black and put a racing stripe on it, and you have a toy for boys. And we see this all the time. There was an issue last Christmas that many of my friends alerted me to about a courageous little girl who had a little brother who loved to bake. And she campaigned to Hasbro for them to create an easy bake oven for her little brother to use. And they did. They brought her along and they consulted with her and they created a black and silver easy bake oven. Now, the black and silver easy bake oven is more expensive than the purple or the pink easy bake oven. And I know this because I have a boy who wants one. But maybe that's not the solution. Maybe the solution is not to take the idea that pink is so toxic that it needs to be neutralized. Maybe we should put pictures of boys baking on the pink Easy Bake Oven box and put pictures of girls on the standard issue Lego box. Maybe we shouldn't be making toys for girls and toys for boys, but toys for kids. Because this issue that everything to do with cuteness or nurturing or family or love or cooking or home being just for girls is not just hurting our boys, but it's hurting our girls also. It tells our boys that all of those things, love and affection and friendship and hearts and caring, is just for girls, and because it's for girls, it's no good. And that tells our little girls that being a girl is no good. Pink doesn't stink. It could have been green or orange or brown or beige, any color that came to be associated with one gender and one gender only, and we would have sworn it off for a myriad of reasons. When things like Steubenville happen, when a young girl is raped and her experience goes viral, and what becomes the focus is the future of the young men who are involved. Or when tragedies like Nova Scotian Rita Parsons happens, a young girl who was raped and bullied and then committed suicide because of it. Parents of sons often say to me, "Thank God we don't have daughters." But I say, yeah, but we have sons. We have an obligation and a responsibility to raise young men who will stand beside Malala and will never tweet a rape picture. As a mother of boys, I say yes to pink. I say yes to hearts and baby animals. I say yes to Star Wars and pirates and all kinds of play. I say yes to parents offering children a balance, a number of examples, regardless of the imaginary world with which they play, that show them examples of leadership and affection, of nurture and friendship and courage. Give girls a chance to bust out of the age-old storylines and give them some options. Give boys a chance to take aim with their hearts. Give them opportunities that have less to do with violence and more to do with love. We have a responsibility to insist that toy companies resist the urge to fall into the gendered toy gap and make toys that are for kids. We have a responsibility to give our children options and take a look at the choices and the things that they love and give them balance. We have a responsibility to teach our children to respect difference, to honor change, and to never stand by. Kids are remarkable if we let them be. Thank you.